How you doing, everybody? It's May the 13th, Thursday 2010, and before I start this little video, I just want to thank everybody who's made comments to my little blog, my little videos over the last while back, and I try and answer all the comments that the people leave, because sometimes they put a lot of energy and a lot of effort into them, and I sense that there's a lot of frustration, people out there, about trying to understand what's what, and I just give you my opinion. Sometimes it's not worth very much, but it's my little understanding of what's actually taking place out there. And all I want to tell you is, I'm not singing off any hymn sheet. I'm not a member of any political party. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not asking you to buy videos. I'm not asking you to buy books. I just want you to think for yourself. That's all. I keep saying that over and over again, but that's all. That's the only thing I'm here trying to do, is act as a counterbalance between what the media, state media, is offering and the private media is offering, because it's nothing but fucking total claptrap, and it's so far removed from the truth as to be. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. In the world of the state media and in the world of private media, black crows are white and horse balls are lemons. They truly are. I was having a cup of tea at lunchtime. What motivated this little video, and I switched on to that CNBC, and they had a financial guru on, and they had a sort of round table talk, and this guy who was giving this talk to them, he was on a screen somewhere in the Midwest of America. So he's on this big screen, and they're all like a round table talking to him. And he's a leading, I think he was a professor. He's certainly at doctorate level. He's certainly like at serious tertiary level. He had a PhD in computer sciences and also economics, and he was on trying to tell these gurus that were also on CNBC that it was all a computer mix-up, what happened last Thursday when the stock market, the United States stock market and world stock markets generally, lost $500 billion in a space of less than an hour, half an hour. Yeah, it was all a computer fault. And I'm having this cup of tea and I'm thinking to myself, I bet you that little bollocks never traded one stock ever in his life. Doesn't even know what a market is, doesn't know what a market looks like. He's read it all in books, has these computer models telling him how things should work and how they won't work and how they don't work. I'm telling you, man, this science is the new gods. These are the new gods, these boys. And I just thought to myself, how naive of people, because the vast majority of people have never traded in their lives. That's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever done. All I've ever done all my life is trade to live. Now, I didn't trade stocks or shares. I traded commodities and chattels. But that's a different matter. But they're still markets, and they work on market principles. And let me tell you what happened last Thursday, whatever day it was. It was Thursday or Friday. It was Thursday. But let me tell you what happened. In order to push down a market by 10% of its size, and for it to lose 500 billion, you need to have a group of people get together, and they need to have available huge amounts of stock, and they need to be acting together as a group, as a conspiracy. It can't happen. This cannot happen on its own. This cannot happen on its own. This has to be a group of stockbrokers disparate throughout the world, all throughout the world. This has to be as well, because while some of them are selling it, other ones, in order to keep the market as it were real, have to be buying some of it. But let me explain how it works. Let's say you have 10 investment banks, or a combination of investment banks and hedge funds, and they're holding, each of them's holding a couple of billion in stocks and shares. And these are to be all blue ribbon stocks and shares. To be all big pharma, big industrials, big the leading top 100. They'll be out of the FTSE 500, that sort of stuff. And so there'll be blue chip shares, all the major ones, all the electronic people like Intel and all the rest of it. Okay, but I think the major the major shares, which are quite volatile anyway, and do go up and down a lot, that they dumped were pharma shares, pharmaceutical shares. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to get a group of these people together. You say, I don't know, it doesn't matter if it's 6 or 10 or whatever, it doesn't matter. Say it's 10 for easy purposes, and they're each holding, say, 5 billion. That's 50 billion in shares. Now, if they start dumping those 50 billion shares onto a market that's already jittery through what's going on in Europe, because it has to be all timed. None of this happens by accident. You don't all of a sudden wake up one day and the stock market goes. It all has to have a backdrop, a political backdrop, and the political backdrop was one of total uncertainty about what was going on in the euro, and what was the values of the euro and the value against the dollar and against the yen, and what was happening in the individual stock markets and all the rest of it. Anyway, how and why it was done was very, very simple. They dumped all this stock, and what they did was they were going to make a massive killing, and sure by God did they make a massive killing. Okay, and what happened was they dumped this stock, and this stock plummeted. Lots of the stock that they dumped went down 40 and 60%. Some of these stocks went down 40 and 60%. Now, they have to have their mates. It all has to be timed, so as they're dumping it, some of their mates are buying it. Because if nobody buys it, if nobody buys into the market at all, the market doesn't do anything. The market just sits there. It doesn't do anything. I mean, somebody bought all these shares that they dumped. So what's happening is they're dumping it at a peak when they started, and it starts going down. And as it's going down, their colleagues are buying small amounts of it. But the Joes throughout the world and the people who are not part of this conspiracy are buying the rest. So let's say, for instance, they dump the shares and the shares are worth 100 units. And they dump them down to 60 units. Let's say this, okay? On average, they've got 80 units for all the shares that they've dumped. Okay? And the shares are now down at 60. And they buy back in between the 60 and the 80 at an average of 70. They've made a kiln of 10% on 10 times 2 or 3 billion, so 30 billion. So they've made 3 billion. That is what happens. That is what happened. It didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen by any computer or any fat finger or any of that shite that these people tell you. It happened for one purpose and one purpose only. Money. M-O-N-E-Y. And if you knew what was going on and you were part of that, you could be making yourself a lot of money, but you're not. They treat you and they think of you like an insect. You're not part of that game. They run that game. That's a rigged market. That's like the bookies. That's like you going down to a racetrack and trying to take on the bookies. They've all the odds stacked in their favour, not in your favour. That's their market. You're entering their world. Just when you go into the stock market, the big international stock market, you enter their world. The world of Goldman Sachs. The world of Morgan Guarantee and Trust, or whatever they're called. Jack Morgan's bank. That's the world you enter. You enter their world. They've laid down the ground rules. They've been at that for 50 or 60 years. I hear people telling me about their day traders and they are my arse. They're making little incremental amounts of money. Please be under no illusion. You enter that market and you've got serious amounts of money. You better be very careful. You better know what you're doing. They take you to cleaners in 2 fucking minutes. That was done for one purpose and one purpose only. The acquisition of money. They dumped all that stock and bought back into that market. They sold it
at that level, and they bought back in at that level. It's none of it's rocket science. It's not a mystery or a wonder what's going on. It's dead simple what's going on. They're manipulating the fucking market. They do it every day. On a smaller scale. They've just done it on a big scale. Last Thursday. Then you've got other guys telling you, oh yeah, it was a computer problem, a computer glitch. Computer glitch, my arse.